Tonight's story is called A Voice from the Past. It tells of a young man who, by means of tuition from a correspondence school, developed an iron will. Eventually, he decided he would be better without it.
Tremaine, ghost of my giddy girlhood. How goes it, erstwhile old hockey knocker?
Why, if it isn't Muriel Branksome.
And what if it isn't? Because it's not.
Not what?
Not Branksome, more Mulliner.
Well, look, I know I've been abroad and I may be a bit out of touch, but you seem to be speaking in riddles. What's more Mulliner?
I am. Reading from left to right, Muriel Mulliner. Scratched from the maiden stakes and now running in the matrimonial handicap.
Good grief. Well, I don't know. Do you mean to tell me you went and married that spineless worm, Sacheverell Mulliner?
Certainly not. I mean I went and married that woolly bar lamb and prince among men, Sacheverell Mulliner.
Well, if you say so. But I'd have thought he was definitely the type the poet Burns had in mind when he spoke of we sleekit, cowering, timorous beasties going about with panic in our breasties.
Yes. Well, I won't say that Sacheverell's breastie was entirely free of panic, but that's not his fault, poor pet. It's all due to that headmaster phobia of his.
What headmaster phobia?
It was all part of the general helplessness that brought out all my maternal instincts. He crept into my heart with his shy manner, his modest disposition, and the way he did tricks with a bit of string. He's jolly good at that, you know.
It's something, I suppose.
But mostly it was his gentle personality. Don't forget, I was brought up in the Shires, surrounded by breezy, confident young bimbos who wore gaiters and smacked them with their riding crops. I suppose subconsciously I'd always yearned for something different.
And you've got it.
Yes, but not without difficulty. There were hurdles. My father, for one. You know my father.
Yes, Colonel Sir Redford's Branksome. Unless he's changed his name as well.
I don't mean his name, I mean his nature. As tough an egg as ever said yoicks to a foxhound. But we had to have his permission, so I invited Sacheverell down to the Towers. I must say, father did him well. Gave him our best guest room, the Blue Suite, and stood by with his oldest port. But I was worried, right from that first breakfast when he told me about his terrible old headmaster.
Surely headmasters are supposed to strike terror and all that.
Oh, yes, but apparently this one was something special. A sort of blend of Epstein's Genesis and something out of the Book of Revelations, but less fun.
I can assure you, Muriel, that it was rumoured that J.G. Smethurst chewed broken bottles and devoured his young.
Whoa, sounds a bit of a tartar.
Bit of a tartar? Let me tell you that when Tartars gather to discuss some particularly unpleasant individual, they refer to him as a bit of a J.G. Smethurst. I strongly suspected him of holding blood sacrifices behind the Fives Court at full moon.
What did he do to you, my little hunted hare? Beat ya?
Oh, there was no need for that. Just the sound of his voice and I was reduced to mincemeat. I remember on one occasion I was bouncing a golf ball against the school wall and catching it, only this time I missed it and it bounced a bit too high, straight over my shoulder, and it went in through the head's window just as he was about to lean out. I didn't realise what had happened at first until I heard this great voice above me, as if it were coming from heaven. Mulliner, it said. Mulliner.
And?
That's all. Just the one word, but you didn't hear it as I heard it, and as I still hear it in my worst dreams and waking nightmares. Mulliner.
Mulliner!
Oh. Luckily, I was taken away from school shortly after that.
Oh, well, perhaps it's just as well. Maybe after that baptism of fire, Father won't seem so bad. But if you think it's going to be a picnic, you're very much mistaken. Father's a gorilla. I remember when I was engaged to my cousin Bernard...
Well, you were engaged to your cousin?
Yes. Didn't I tell you?
No.
Ah, yes. I used to be engaged to my cousin Bernard, but I broke it off because he tried to boss me. A little bit too much of the dominant male about dear old B, so I handed him his hat. We're still good friends, though. But the thing I was saying was that, Bernard used to gulp like a seal and stand on one leg when Father came along, and he's in the Guards, so that just goes to show you.
Yes, indeed. Well, I'll have to try and think of something to impress him. I know a fair deal about the Russian ballet. Or perhaps I should have brought my silk Japanese prints.
No, I'm afraid you haven't got the message, Sacheverell. Chat about the price of wheat, about the sheep in sickness and in health, turnips you have met, that sort of thing. It's no use.